Here we are, old man on an Instagram live. Hi, everybody. I'm going to figure this out. Oh, wow. We already got people, and I'm going to invite because I know what I'm doing because I'm a professional. Hold on. 3,000 people. Let's go. Yes. Hi, everybody. Hi. Hell yeah. I'm going to not pay attention to all the questions you're asking yet because I will get distracted from the job at hand. But they're coming. Are you geeked? I'm not cool enough to even know what that means. I think I know what it means, so the answer is no. uh, um, sorry, guys. I'm just trying to get Sarah in here. Can everybody hear me? Can I get some feedback? Is volume good? Diving board is built. Well, it's just me for now. I think I've done. She's unable to join. Oh, thanks, dude. Sidebar. Sarah just said she's unable to join, which would be funny if this is how she breaks up with me. This is it. Here we go. Trying her again. I know Rose Group LA. Hi, Marnie. Um, look, guys, I want to be clear that I've done everything on my end, technically. All right. I'm holding up my end of the bargain here. I've done invites. How do I do subtitles? How do I do that? See, we're breaking new ground. Someone's asked for subtitles. Can I hit a button that just accomplishes that? I hope I figure that out. Turn off commenting, turn off request to go live, add moderator. I don't know how to turn that on. You're going to have another season of Suits soon, but it's going to be a different Suits, a brand new Suits with brand new people. Lines cutting out. Can you guys hear me? I see Sarah Rafferty saying hi in the comments. Now she's. Is it not working, Sarah? Do I need to invite you again? This is standard for our relationship. This is a perfect way to do an Instagram live if I'm honest. This really lets you in on the
Connecting.
there she
No.
is.
Oh my
Two
gosh.
people with glasses talking to each
Did
other
you
on the internet. What could
did
be better?
did you hear me screaming? I'm here. I'm here.
What
I'm here.
happened? What happened? What
No,
happened?
it wouldn't. It just kept circly workling.
Is that
Um.
the technical term for it?
Yeah.
Circle work all? Okay.
Yeah. It was doing the circle. No, it did that, and then I was actually on the telephone. This is a telephone with.
We don't oh no, we don't use those. We don't use those anymore, actually. No, we're post telephone
We're
now.
just using walkie talkies.
Yeah. Hi,
It
friends. We
worked. Look at your background.
Yeah, I got a wood wall. I had it installed special for this. So we're gonna take it down after the
Yeah. So
live.
you're like you're like rock and roll, and I'm a little bit country. Like
I'm in
you've got the.
I'm country. What are you talking about? I'm country. I'm in Montana.
I'm,
I'm
I'm just saying the wood paneling versus the soft luxury behind me.
soft luxury. How are you?
Quiet.
Before we get to all these amazing people, thank you everyone for joining us. How are you? Our podcast debuted yesterday. I don't know if you are aware of that. You know that we've been doing, all those conversations we've had. I've been recording them and releasing them as a podcast. I don't know if you know that.
Are you you talking to me or to our
I'm talking
friends?
to you. I didn't tell you that we're doing a podcast. It's called Sidebar,
Oh,
and it was released yesterday. I
so excited.
just and how are you feeling about it?
I just want to say hearts back to everybody, right?
Wait a
Um,
minute. Check this. Look at that. You see what I just
oh,
did?
oh, oh, what?
That's that's technical. Wait a minute. You ready? Right? Wait for it. Old man learns how to use his phone.
That's really special. I'm sorry that I got unfocused. I'm focused now. Oh, mine is not doing that. I guess it's my
I'll teach you. I'll teach when we're not on a live with 10,000 people, I'll teach you how to do it.
okay. Hi,
Seriously
friend.
though, how are you feeling about the fact that we launched a podcast?
I'm so excited. I'm
Yeah.
I'm just tickled. I think I'm really excited for this podcast to feel like a conversation with the people who are here with us now, just in general with the other viewers, since now we are kind of new
I mean,
viewers
how
of
long
the
have we been talking about doing this?
podcast.
That was what I was thinking all day yesterday, is we've been talking about this for 2+ years.
Yeah, when was that first conversation that you had with Katie?
I think it was like 2.5 years ago, maybe 3 years ago.
COVID time?
COVID time. COVID time.
COVID
When
time.
we were all wondering what we could do.
I think it's
Um,
really interesting that it was before the resurgence last
yeah,
summer that you started this.
Yes. Yes. And then that emboldened us even further that we should do this.
Yeah.
Don't worry, guys, we'll save the live. But really, like one of the main reasons we're so excited to do this podcast was something that you talked a lot about. Maybe you should talk about it more, which is obviously we haven't seen the show. We were excited to watch the show. We thought, what a cool way to do it and to share it with all the people. But this is a perfect example of what you were really stoked about. So maybe you want to talk about, you know, all the fans and being able to engage with all the people who have just been so supportive of the show for so long.
Well, I mean, because I think we all are very clear that the reason that the nerdy theater kid in us got to do the thing that they love for their life as a livelihood was because of the viewers and the suitors who tuned in and supported us and made that all happen. I also think it's was hard when during the resurgence when we were kind of fed like numbers of it was just like this number 57.7 billion minutes, like there's no way to really metabolize that and the gratitude and to actually feel the gratitude for that except in connection with each other and with the people who watched it
Yeah.
and made it the reality that it was. So it's like, how do we actually process how grateful we are for it? How do we get present to that? I think that's just a thing in life too, right? Like I remember when I had Una, like my first baby, I was like, where do I go to say thank you? Like, how can I actually feel like I want to like somehow lodge my thanks somewhere? Like, where do I write it down and send it in?
Right.
Like
Right.
metaphorically. And I think in terms of the Suits chapter of our lives, this is a really wonderful way to actually get to do that, to actually get to be grateful, to be excited, to celebrate it, to metabolize it, to process it, all those things. What about you?
Well,
Tell me.
before I realize that some people on here might just follow us on Instagram, I guess they would have to know what we're doing here. But obviously, guys, we're here to talk about this new podcast, Sidebar. If you haven't listened to it yet, it's a podcast where Sarah and I are watching every episode of the show Suits that we happen to be in that we actually have never seen before. We've seen a few episodes, but we've never watched the entire series. So. If you haven't listened to it yet, please go and download it wherever you listen to podcasts. If you have friends that love the show, please send it to them. Obviously, the first few weeks of a podcast is so important. So, as many downloads and listens and subscribes and follows and all the things that you do is so important. Um, what can I ask? What did you ask me before I said that, Sarah?
About the why of doing the podcast. That's what we were talking about. Like,
Oh man, yeah, so many reasons. I've run away. I think, and I said this in the podcast, but it's worth repeating. Like I don't watch myself. I think we've talked about that. It's very uncomfortable for me. But as a result of like not watching work that I do, there ends up being this like shame or this sense that like it's not good. Like there's a like not wanting to face it allows me to do the work in the moment, but like it also makes me this amazing, transformational, incredible thing that we did, I sort of just ran past it and threw it like in the background and was like, okay, that's done. Next thing, next thing, next thing, next thing. And as we've gotten more space between us and the show and time's gone by, and then we had this renaissance, I definitely had this moment of like, am I going to go my whole life and just kind of pretend that never happened, or like not really watch it, or check into the whole process, the beautiful things, the things that we're grateful for, but the things that were really difficult and that I struggled with, or watching me overcome things that fans might not understand watching the episode, but remember, oh yeah, that scene was really hard because I felt this way, or I didn't think I had what it took to like pull that scene off. Like, there's so much great stuff to mine there that for a long time was just like too scary or a little too uncomfortable for me. And to be able to do that with someone who I happen to love very much and trust, and to be able to do all the things we talked about, which is enjoy the show and watch it with the fans and have that experience, but really on like a personal level go through this whole thing and like turn something that I just sort of quickly put in my rear view into something that I can really embrace and be grateful for, and understand what so many people got out of it. So
I also
so
think like the technical aspects of a TV show, like we didn't really have time to understand locations and set deck and all these amazing pieces of the story that were just kind of presented to us. Like we would just show up and the set would be decorated and it would be meaningful and it
sure,
was a
yeah, yeah,
that we could exist in these characters, but just like every detail to understand all the different departments. And I mean, I don't even know how many people were on our crew, like how many people work on a thing and have a really, really huge part of the storytelling, because when it all comes together you have this one story that so many people worked on, and I'm excited to learn more about the process of making television, right, by
well,
just asking
yeah.
questions as we look at it again.
Yeah, I think that hits on a really other thing. I love what we do as actors, but like the thing that keeps me doing this to some degree is how fascinated I am with the process of making a television show, and most people just don't understand the details of it. I don't understand all the details, like you said. So it's also like we get to go through and like take our time and be like, "Whoa, that set was amazing," or look at the way they did the art design of that particular set, or the casting, or let's talk about the wardrobe. Let's bring in Jolie and talk about what her vision was for this season. There's so many things that we just didn't have time to discuss or really deal with because you show up on set and you're shooting a scene. So to also give people a chance to understand like what goes into making a show like Suits and how it evolves season after season after season.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, but what about the podcast? I think we'll get into some questions from all the people, but like, what's this process been for you actually making a podcast, because I think we went into it fairly like it's a podcast. We just get together and we talk on mics and then we put it out there. How have you enjoyed it? What's a challenge for you? What do you love? What are you working on?
Well, thank you. That's such a thoughtful question. I mean, I think for me, the you said putting it out there. The putting it out there piece is the hard part, right?
Mm,
Is that it's not the hard part. It's actually just like been very interesting to watch and to like learn how funny it is that I elected to be an actor, because the putting it out there piece is the piece that's scary.
right?
It's
Yeah, of course.
hard, it's vulnerable, it's riddled with self-doubt. All those kinds of things come up, and then I have to just work through those things and then just get clear as to what we're doing, which is we're celebrating this amazing chapter in our lives and the people who made it possible for us to enjoy that time in our lives.
Yeah.
So and we really truly do have such incredible suitors, like the fans who have
Suitor
supported.
spelt. We saw a question before. Suitor spelt with an O-R or an E-R? I think we've always spelt it with an O-R. I just saw someone ask that question. That's why I'm asking. I
Oh,
was like, you said
somebody
suitors,
said
and then
about
some.
delicious lips.
What?
So the only one I just saw was delicious lips, Patrick. So
That's. I think I had some sort of filter on. So I've got the lips filter on.
it's really nice. How has it been for you to make a podcast? What have you discovered?
I think that people assume that as actors we're like really out there people. I think you sort of touched on it just now, like that we're really like love talking and hearing ourselves talk and putting ourselves out there, and that like we just are obsessed, and it just could not be less the case for me. I'm deeply uncomfortable, you know, putting myself out there and talking. Like I think I'm an introvert, and I've learned that kind of in the last 5 years. I'm just much more comfortable alone in my house doing my own thing. But I love acting and I love being in like that creative space with people and telling a story. But the part of it, getting out and being honest and being open and conversing in front of people has been really difficult for me. So on top of the suits of it all, I think this is also an amazing opportunity to just get more comfortable with that. I listen to podcasts all the time, and the thing that I love most about them is that it gives me this like long form ability to sit with people who I find interesting and funny and fascinating. And it's not quick. It's not, you know, 10 minutes on television. It's not a quick interview. It's like I get to just sit there and like get to know who they really are. And I think being on the other side of that now, hopefully for the length of this show, and hopefully we get to keep doing this podcast and it's a big crazy success. But like even if it's not, the gift of of just talking, of getting in front of a mic and talking to someone, who we always have such great conversations, and bringing other people into it and just learning to like begin the conversation publicly is really good for me. I think just as a human being, it keeps me from like doing this. This is what I want to do.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
want to
yeah,
retreat. I want
yeah,
to be this guy.
yeah. Um,
So,
no, and I think that's what's great about podcasts in general, especially I learned this so much obviously during the pandemic, but that they companion us,
mhm,
right? Like when I'm on that long drive or I'm doing the laundry or folding the thing or cooking the thing,
right,
I am companioned in that. I'm a part of something, right? I'm
right.
a part of the conversation that I'm listening to. Sometimes it's super informative. Sometimes it's something I've never thought about before. Sometimes it's just like, oh, wow, you feel that way too?
Right.
Like, you know, you X person, you're having a conversation about this like really human thing that makes me feel like so much less weird and alone.
Right.
Like hear
Absolutely.
you talk,
Absolutely. Yeah.
you know, that's really it's a really nice thing. I do love this medium, right? Like it's amazing.
Yeah.
So,
Long
um,
form. We're getting a lot of questions I'm seeing about you doing a YouTube. We're super excited you guys are already so into it that you want to see us doing a podcast. It's all in conversation. I think if you want to see it, it's like we got to get the podcast nice and big and successful and get lots of downloads. So, you know, everything's possible in success. Please keep listening in the coming weeks, and if we keep those numbers up, then we're definitely going to explore what it is to get a visual component to it. The nature of Sarah and I's lives is that we're shooting like right now we're both in two totally different cities. So we also have to find a way to make the visual element of it like interesting and not just Zoom. So or if it is Zoom, how we make that fun for you guys. So we're working on it, we're talking about it, and we will get back to you, I promise.
I'm trying
Uh,
to see this. I see somebody said that they are 12, and then I couldn't read the rest of it. So hi, I
hi.
have a 12-year old.
This is a good question. Will you be covering the chaotic fun webisodes on the Sidebar podcasts?
Oh,
I
that would
totally
be.
forgot about the webisodes. We should have like a very special episode where we watch
Do
webisodes.
you remember
Yeah, are they
doing that?
available? Are they on DVD? Does anyone? I don't. We need to figure out
Kristen
where they
will be
are.
able to figure out how we can get the webisodes.
Kristen
Right, Chris?
is our fearless producer slash leader slash researcher who worked on the show Suits with us, and she knows everything about the history of Suits. So she'll find it for us. She'll know.
Somebody just asked me what my lip combo was, and Kelsey put it on me, so I will find out. It's
I've
on my
always wondered
phone.
what is your lip combo, Sarah?
It's I have
I've
never had this lip combo on,
always wanted to
but
know
I
what the
I think this lip combo is amazing. So I'm gonna come back to you with the lip combo. Rick Sorkin. Oh, it goes by really fast for me. I am not a fast reader.
I
What?
think that we're going to go into the question section because that bottom is it's a lot. It's a lot for anyone. But there's this
Well, I'm
question
afraid I'm
section where
gonna do this whole thing like this. I mean, does this look pretty, you guys? Is
you couldn't not look
that
pretty
good?
if you
Is that good?
tried.
Because I'm
You
gonna read the
couldn't.
question. But we could. Do you have the questions? Do you
I'm
have questions
I'm
written
I'm
down?
looking at the oh, and then I have some stuff that you and I talked that we wanted to talk about.
Well,
Um,
I think, Kristen, if you can hear me, can you send the document? Sarah, just request to join. Oh, I'm still back at that. Um,
you're like 15 minutes behind in such a wonderful way.
my my husband just texted. The
And what did
first
he say?
episode, the first episode kicked ass. I loved it.
Oh, he just
Apparently, he
listened to it?
must have just listened to it. And
Oh,
Troyan
nice.
texting us yesterday was so sweet. Oh
Yes.
my God.
Yes. She loved it.
I
She
love
listened to it twice.
she was interested in the hot dog carts.
We are going to have a lot of guests on the show. Obviously, part of this is us watching the episodes, but we also want to bring as many people on to talk to them about what, the role they played and their experience on the show. What is your other than obviously our incredible main cast, which we hope to get everybody in at some point. What are like some of
Oh,
your
dream guest.
hopeful dream guests?
Okay,
And
let's do a speed
and
round.
while we answer this, feel free to weigh in at the bottom there too to give us some ideas of who your guys like dream guests would be, both in front of the camera, but also behind the camera if that's
Yeah,
of interest to you.
really interesting to hear behind the camera. Let's do a speed round of this. Let's just like name people. I know I've done this with you before. Like I saw Max Beasley kind of recently. I think he will be an amazing guest. Rachel
To
Harris.
that end, Conleth Hill and
Oh,
Michelle
Colin Hill.
Fairley. I mean, all the Game of Thrones are two Game of Thrones
Yeah,
crossover actors, Michelle and Conleth.
absolutely.
Amazing.
Wendell.
Wendell, great. Troyan,
Troyan. Yes. Troyan.
I would love to have her on. The directors, good call.
Yeah.
We are going to try and get as many directors as possible,
Bonnie Zane.
especially
Bonnie
our
Zane.
casting
Bonnie Zane.
director, Bonnie Zane, the incredible Bonnie Zane, who may or may not, I've already seen questions about it too, if there are any tapes from our auditions. Potentially, she still has all the tapes. I don't know if we can release them or what the legal liability is there, but I think they do exist.
I mean, maybe we can just offer ours.
Yeah, it'll just be ours, which will be
I
horrifying.
don't know if I mean, I'm talking about my difficulties. I don't even know where I am yet. Okay, wait, let's keep going. Uh, you know, our
Are we going to talk
background,
about the new?
our,
Sorry, what'd you say?
our background actors, I think would be amazing
Oh, that's a
to
good
have
idea.
as
Yeah,
guests.
because
Um,
I was just shooting. I didn't tell you this, but I was just shooting this new show I did for Netflix, Lockerbie, that'll be coming out in a few months. And we were in Toronto for the last part of it, and a lot of our background were there.
oh my God,
Yeah, you can't shoot in Toronto without running into some of the great people that we worked.
did you take any
Um,
should send me?
uh, no, I didn't take any
Okay.
pictures. Really bad with pictures these days.
Camera
Are we?
operator,
What?
camera operators and DPs, I always love watching them work and seeing them.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's right up your alley too, like all the
Yeah.
visual elements of it.
Right.
Anyway, sorry, you're moving on to the next thing. What did you see? Talk about feeling.
Suits reboot. Are we going to be talking about the new show Suits LA coming out? Which is a great question.
We should.
Not that we know much about it, but we that's part of the world, part of the show, and we'd love to support it. And obviously, Aaron Korsh, our fearless leader of Suits, he's the creator of that show as well. So, yeah, I think we welcome any and all conversation about what it's like to kind of continue this universe into a new world with new stories.
And we do talk to Aaron a lot, so it's really great on this podcast moving forward to have his perspective because he's
Hmm.
super excited about the podcast. Obviously, he's seen the show a lot. Um,
Hmm.
but he has this amazing experience of rewatching it with his kids that
Right.
can also reflect on it from that point of view,
Yeah.
which I think is really fun for
He
listeners.
also has a photographic memory. This man remembers everything. So he's actually just the most amazing resource when you're having a conversation about the show, because you and I sometimes don't have the best memory. Like, what was happening? He can tell you exactly what was like happening when that episode was being shot. So for sure, we're gonna hopefully keep him in the loop as he will
Do you
allow us to keep him.
do you think our lack of memory has something to do with like the cortisol that is rushing through your bloodstream when you're in front of a camera? Like sometimes I think
Yes.
the adrenaline and the like, oh, we got to do this quick, we got to do it fast, all the battling, the
Yeah.
self-doubt,
Yeah.
all the like trying to focus, all that just rushes in all the stress hormones. And then I
Yeah.
think that wipes my hard
Yeah.
drive. I'm like, I don't remember that. That's just a blur. like child.
I think we talked about this the other day, but I'm starting a new job here, and you have all those pre-job jitters, those like free, and I lose all executive function. Like I can't, if you ask me like to get dressed, I don't know what to do. Like how to put my socks on when I'm that nervous about something. So yeah, I think they're I mean, look, we're not quite that nervous when you're on season 5, 6, 7 of a show that we love, but you always go to set with a little bit of how's this gonna go
You know,
today?
no, I
So
was so relieved. I remember each time we started the new season on Suits, the first day, I remember this, Rick would always say, "Oh, I have the first day jitter," or whatever his term for it was.
hmm
And I remember being that's just such a little thing that I was so relieved because we have talked about it. We've talked about it a lot, and I think the listeners to the podcast will enjoy like our experience of seeing Rick's performance, especially in the first episodes of seeing everybody's performance. But we talked a lot about Rick's performance.
hmm
So when he said that, he doesn't seem like a nervous person, and he just like puts in this performance that you're like, how the hell did you do that? But and then to have him say, oh no, I'm nervous the first day every season, even though we're in the sixth season, the first day I'm nervous and I have to kind of get it out on the first few takes. That is so liberating when somebody will share that with you. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like
yeah, yeah,
it's okay to like blow a couple takes the first day
yeah.
because it's
More than a
stressful,
couple.
normal thing.
Uh, um, we have a question here. In an argument, would Mike or Donna win? Silence. Pure silence. I think Donna.
Donna,
Donna's always going to win. Donna's always going to win. There's no question.
I think Donna's going to win because I'll tell you why. Because Mike is so brilliant and he's a brilliant lawyer. Donna's going to win because she's not a lawyer, because she's the she understands what makes people tick, so she'll know how to get right in
hmm
there and get the like the thing that makes her win.
Right.
The thing between she understands the relationship between her and Mike. Like everything is specific. It's not the play the odds, play the man thing. Isn't that like the name
I
of
think, and Mike is smart enough to let Donna win any conversation that he might even have a chance of winning.
well,
You know what
there's
I
that.
mean? She's playing 4D chess at all times.
I do think that the women are like name any woman on Suits, she's gonna win.
We have a good question from Mate Werner. Do you have any favorite fan interactions that you remember? I know that these mean a lot to both of us. Is there a sort of peak moment where you got to meet a fan that landed for you?
There are so many. You start. I have to my Rolodex. I mean, there's so many. I think
I ran into a young woman when we were in Austin recently. We went to do the ATX Television Festival, and I was sitting down to dinner with Troyan, and a lot of people were again since the Renaissance or whatever of Suits. There've just suddenly been more people who are excited. So there were a lot of people stopping and saying, "Hey, we love the show," and I was thank you, and we were taking pictures, and then it was quiet for a bit, and this young woman showed up, and she was like sort of shaking and she told me this just heartbreaking, beautiful story about her husband who had been dealing with cancer for the last like 6 months or a year, and that they had been watching the show together. And I think we've talked about this before, where it's always amazing to meet fans and interact, and people are sort of happy to see us, and we can take pictures and kind of make their day a bit. But when you meet people for whom like the show helped them bridge some tragedy or some really painful time, it's just I'm never sort of aware of that I forget that something as ultimately trivial as a TV show can really actually be something that important to people in a time when they really need something that distracts them, something that brings them together, something that gives them something to do other than deal with whatever they're dealing with. So that was sort of the most recent profound thing. I had one other interaction when I was driving across the country last year. We spend the summer in Canada, so I was driving across the country. I was like coming from the Grand Canyon. I was in the middle of the desert, like nowhere. And on the side of the road, there were these like older like Navajo women that had these stalls where they were selling like things that they were making. And I pulled over. It was a beautiful view, and I wanted to take a picture. And I got out and I walked over to this stall, wanted to buy something for daughters, and and this has got to be like a 75-year-old Navajo woman who's like crafting things from stone. And I'm like, hi, and I'm like looking at some things, and she looks up and just goes, Mike Ross. And I was like, are you kidding me? And it's people like that where there's no world in which this person in this moment could watch the show. Um,
That is
and
amazing.
yeah, that blows my mind. I love those. I love those, like those just shocking, like I cannot believe you watched the show.
Well, I told you that I had that experience when I got off the plane in Ghana, and I was walking through the Accra airport, and I was with Charlton, and I was like, "Am I going crazy?" Somebody was like, "Hey, Donna, welcome to Ghana," and I
Right,
was, and he was like, "No, you heard that? That happened." Like
right.
he literally, that was the first thing he said. I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's we live in this little bubble." I was like, it's outside of the U.S. Like people watch the show. It's like amazing. I remember like the first time I was in Ireland too. Some people came out of a pub when I was just walking down the street, and I was like, "Do they think I'm Deb Messing? Like, it's the red hair? Like I'm that redheaded actress? Like." But it apparently was on the television in Dublin too. I just want to put a little exclamation point on what you said about, again, it's the companioning people through moments in their lives. It's really touching. I think like when I'm at conventions or on the street or whatever, hearing those stories about people who say, I was going through this and this is what being able to watch the show meant to me in that time in terms of escape or connection or
Right.
any of those things. But then on top of that, I think it's the when you get the multi generations, when you have like the mom and her teen son saying that it's brought them closer together, or the grandfather is also in on it, like these multiple generations in a family watching
Hmm.
Suits. I think that's incredibly meaningful when they're
Totally.
saying that they're that together. It's
It's
amazing. It's
wild.
amazing.
Shout out Hannah Lucia, we see you. Sorry, you've put it up there so many times. Hannah Lucia sat next to Gabriel at a restaurant on May 31st, and she regretted not saying hi.
We
So hello.
oh,
There's another
that
good
was
question I just got here. Now that we are watching the show that we had not watched before, is there anything specific we've realized that we really miss about making Suits?
oh, each other. I mean, all of the people who made Suits. I really miss the people. I
Yeah.
really miss you. I miss Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I miss walking in Donna's shoes. I miss like having a snappy reply. I miss like walking around with her. It was
Mm-hmm.
fun. It was super fun to like be somebody that confident, who dresses like that, who has the right thing to say at the right time, who leads with their heart,
Yeah.
who really, in some ways, like has this instinct to like mother everybody in her life in a fun way. What about you?
I miss having all of that. I miss all the people. We're such a big family. But just the uh, the consistent, like not knowing what you're going to do every week and getting that script and then sitting down at the table read, and it's just the run and gun of it, which is also very stressful. And we talked about how that's like kind of keeps you at this level of stress for whatever it took for us to shoot 8 months of a season, 8 months of a year to make a season. But I also miss that. It's like
Yeah,
you're in the trenches, like there's the madness of it. The like, I'm exhausted. We still have to shoot 3 scenes, or like, how am I going to get through this day? Like, didn't sleep well, and we have 10 pages to shoot today, and solving problems on the fly. And oh my God, this scene isn't working. How do I really love I love the stress of it in a way. I love the creativity that comes out of the stress of it and the timing of it. And like, we got to get this today. How are we going to figure it out? So, obviously every show has a version of that, but when you're on a show like Suits and you have 16 episodes to produce, it's a and you have all these people who know each other so well by season 5 and 6, 7, that you do that so well together. You watch problems get solved so quickly. That's like my favorite part about making a show.
I miss that chapter in my life. It's the family chapter that you're in now.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like my kids were your kids' age,
Oh,
right?
right. Yeah. Yeah.
And they were with me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they actually like came to work and they operated this thing, and they sometimes said action and
This thing. This
what's
thing.
What's
What is
this?
it? Come on, quick. You don't have the name
Oh,
for it? Oh, that's so good.
what's the this thing called? The snapper. The, the,
No worries. No, no,
what
no.
snapper? What is it,
No, no,
Patrick?
no. We're not. I'm not telling you. You're
Yes, you
never
must.
gonna know. No,
The
no, no. You're never
clackety
gonna know.
clicks.
The clicker
The
clacker.
clickerly clackety pow
Clicker
pow.
clacker.
um, so I miss being having living like I now am on another show where the last two shows I did I
Shout
travel away from my
out
children.
your other show. Shout out your other show. What are
Oh,
you
My Life with
on?
Walter Boys on Netflix. What's great about it is it's very hard to leave my kids and to not have my kids come to set and visit me there and be in my
Hmm.
trailer times and be a part of it. They learn so much and they're a part of it. They were My kids were such a huge part of Suits that legitimately when we were leaving, I was like, I'm going to need some time on the set
Right,
to walk through
right,
and say goodbye to the
right,
place. Now I do love that on the Walter Boys, I have all these wonderful children that
right,
wonderful actors who play my children. I have those
right.
relationships and are delightful humans. And if you haven't watched the show, check out my fake sons. Um, so that's delightful, but I do miss having my kids be a part of that. Like I sometimes I can't believe my kids now do FaceTime with those actors sometimes, but
Oh,
they haven't
cool.
really hung out.
Right.
So
I saw something here. Oh, as as our podcast gets more popular, which they say it will, which is great. Again, a reminder, everybody, if you haven't been on here in a while, we're talking about Sidebar, the podcast released yesterday. Go to wherever you download podcasts, Spotify, Apple, Amazon. Where else do you do podcasting? Wherever you do it, go to it. Search Sidebar, download, follow. We'd love to and the original question is, how is it going to evolve? We'd love for you to help us figure that out. We're obviously using the structure of watching the show for the first time. Again, we haven't seen it before, so we're making our way through. And I will say, like, I assume I know the show because I shot it. I'm so surprised by things that I know that I was in. But because it's now been so long, we really get to have the experience of the show in a way for the first time. So we're going to be using that as the format, but we're going to be talking to, obviously people from the show. And you and I are just going to be talking about, what the experience was to shoot a television series, things that might have to do with the story or particular scenes, but really just like what it was like to move our families, what it was like to watch a show suddenly become popular, what it was like to suddenly get recognized at the airport, what it was like, what all of it was like, the surreal, the wonderful, the difficult, and then on top of that, we just want to hear from you guys, and we want to know what you want. Oh, Rachel Harris is here.
Rachel's here. We were just talking about you. Is she really
We
here?
love you.
Can we?
Oh, we love you.
There's no way to put her
We
on,
love.
is there?
Well, we don't want to
Three
put her
people?
on this. We don't want to put her on the spot.
Oh,
You know what I mean? What if I
three.
randomly just asked you to be part of an Instagram live?
I
Why
don't think
would
it
you?
works. I don't think you can. You put three people on. Anyway, whatever. Hi, Rachel. We were just
Um,
talking about how we can't wait till you come on the podcast.
yeah.
I
Um,
love to see her.
what about you? Is there anything else specific you want? Okay, you know what? Let's address the can opener because it's just flying off the shelves here, guys. We know that you want to
There's.
know
We're going
about
to
the
talk
can
about the
opener.
can opener. Every time the
We
can
talk
opener.
about it, but also it has been talked about, guys, and we don't know what it was. Aaron does not know what the can opener was for. We're going to hear him talk about it directly in
I
an
know. I
upcoming.
have some ideas about the can opener.
Right. Yes. Well, then we'll hear your ideas.
Or
Okay, that's
we won't.
good.
I don't.
No, no,
I
no.
don't.
I want
You
to
know
hear
what
them.
was fun? I was in Chicago at Epicons 2 weekends ago, and some people were able to present me with a can opener to sign, and some people told me that TSA did not let them get their can opener through.
It's a
So
lethal
don't
weapon.
travel with the can opener. This is the big takeaway from today. Don't travel with the can opener in your carry-on. It's not going to work.
Which
I don't.
heartbreaking because I typically want to travel
Rachel,
with my own.
oh, I am on my way to the gym. She was on her way to the gym, so she can't be on our
Work it
podcast.
out.
Rachel,
Work it out. We love you.
she is a fitness
Um,
goddess, like Gina.
any
Um,
props. We got some
But
questions about props. Do you keep any props from the show? Do you have any? What do you have from the show? Not let's not no clothing included in that because that's its own podcast of what clothes you kept. But what props do you have?
I have
Where
I have
can we
like
listen to your podcast, guys? You go to wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, search sidebar, download, follow.
um we could do more Instagram lives because I have lots of stuff, but this is just what's inside. These were on Donna's desk. Um,
What were those? I didn't see them. Hold them up.
birds.
Okay. Okay.
You want to know why?
Weird.
I know. So there was a weird thing that happened with birds. There were a lot of birds in her office, and what's amazing to me, and the reason why I kept these, and my children understand, is I don't have a big thing for birds. I appreciate birds. I love watching birds fly in the sky in my yard. I mean, we love birds, but I don't know. My dad called us bird because when we
Is
were babies, he said we made sounds that reminded him of birds. And then he would always be like, "Hey, bird," whenever he picked up the phone or when he'd see us. And the rest of that story is my daughter Iris loved being called Bird by my dad, but my dad has Alzheimer's, which we've talked about,
mhm.
and she recently wrote an essay about noticing the day that he stopped calling her Bird.
Wow.
So it's a
Oh
really
my God.
beautiful thing. So I have
That's
lots of
why
birds because
you kept those? That was your reason when you oh well.
it reminded me of my dad. But I think there's something kind of special that Set Deck put birds in Donna's office. Like they didn't know that. There were just birds in Donna's office. I don't know.
Right.
Maybe this is too
No,
hippy
you're
dippy,
yeah.
whatever. But like, you know how you
This is
feel like
this
you
is the sort of thing you guys are gonna get from this podcast. You're gonna get the real you're gonna get the real crap. You're gonna get heart from right from the heart, the personal stuff. You might cry.
you look so handsome.
Thank you. It's
So
really just the wood wall.
is it the blue eyes?
It's the blue
I,
eyes. Oh,
it's
you know what? They gave us a test. Did you see this? Our producers, our amazing producers at Sirius, um, and our fearless leader, researcher, Kristen, put together a thing for us. Did you see this? The friendship quiz, the
oh let's
test of how well we know each other.
I didn't read it. I
I
haven't
thought it
yet.
was kind of a brilliant idea.
Can we do it?
Yeah. Where did you grow? Where did I grow up?
Toronto, Canada.
Connecticut,
Yeah, Connecticut. Do you know where in Connecticut? Yes,
Greenwich, Greenwich,
Riverside. But yeah,
Riverside.
Riverside's in Greenwich. I only say that because it sort of hides the Greenwich of it all.
What's
Yeah,
my favorite movie?
Forrest Gump.
It's pretty good. I don't know if it's actually my favorite movie, but it was once upon a time my favorite movie. Very good. And I do know basically every word of it. What's your favorite movie, though?
You wouldn't be able to know that
I bet it's
because I don't know.
something kind of weird, like Cassavetes or something.
Oh, well, I did get to
Woman,
work with
woman
Jane.
under the
I
influence.
mean, those were amazing. I did a Lifetime movie with her.
Oh my God.
It was,
Rest in peace.
oh my God. So here's what I,
What's your favorite movie? What
okay.
is it?
So here's why I can't totally answer that question because I'm not like a movieophile and I always get like in my head about like, oh, this isn't a cool movie to pick. But I always remember my first favorite movie, which was a movie that Diane Lane was in when she was a child actress. It was shot in Paris. It's called A Little Romance. And I just rewatched it with Iris because I've always been afraid to go back to it because I'm like, it's gonna not
What
be.
is
And
it called?
A Little Romance.
That's your favorite movie of all time.
No, you were not listening.
I have listened, but I mean, like
I'm
just because
saying it was the first time I loved a movie. So I'm sticking with the first time I loved a movie,
first
right?
time.
Like
Okay. What's my middle name?
it starts with a J.
Oh
But
wow, we found it. You don't know my middle name.
Joseph?
Light up the light is who can light up the anyone out there know? Light it up in the old comments.
J- Can I Google that? Hey Siri. I don't know how to do Hey Siri. Um,
Uh my middle name is Johannes
are you
German.
are you
No,
messing?
Johann. No, you didn't know that?
With
You've never heard my middle name.
the
That's
the amount
amazing.
the amount of joy and grief I'm having right now, I'm grieving that I haven't had the opportunity to know that and to play with that.
So
But also,
good. Johannes. Yeah, yeah. I
you and I were married on the feast of Johannes.
excuse me? You what is the Feast of Johannes? That's some midsummer stuff. I'm scared. What is
It
that?
is. We were married on
Is
June
this a Finnish
23rd.
thing?
Yeah. You don't know Finnish things? Everybody knows
Oh
Finnish things.
my goodness. This is amazing.
Yes, it's the feast. It's the feast day
You were
of,
married on the Feast of Johannes, my middle name.
yes,
This is, guys,
birds.
something very powerful is happening here online. We are drawing connections and parallels we didn't even know
No, but
existed.
it's the time in Finland. It's the longest day of the year, right? So it's the equinox. Is that what it's called? And
Yes, the 23rd is not the longest day of the
it
year. The
de-
21st is.
well, it usually depends on the year. It's somewhere in there,
This is for
right?
our other podcast about vernal equinoxes that will be coming out sometime next year. I know your middle name. That's what's important. Oh, the Feast of Johannesburg. Is that what they said?
But Johannes, yes, the feast. Did
Ah.
somebody say they know the feast,
Yeah,
which
they
means
just said the Feast of Johannesburg.
so? And Kiki just said, which means that Suits premiered on the feast of Johannes. Look, given a
Wait,
day for
really?
whatever reason, yeah, because it did. It
Wow,
on
guys. Anyway, the important thing is you didn't know my middle name. I know that your middle name is Gray. What was my first acting role in film or TV?
was it Friday Night
No.
Lights?
But this
What?
is an impossible question. We couldn't know this about ourselves
Oh,
because
okay.
whatever it is, it's right. I mean, how would I know? I'm sure it was something I could never have even heard of. I'm guessing one of your first big jobs was like one of these New York like Law and Order type
That's
shows.
exactly my first
Am I
job.
right?
My
You didn't do anything before Law and Order?
no, and P.S. My first job where I got my SAG card was on Law and Order, as it should be when you're a New York theater actor. That's everybody's for, I think. But guess, oh no, now I'm gonna lose a name, and this is gonna be embarrassing.
What? The name of the person you worked with or what?
Yeah, the director, who was our producing director.
Mike Smith?
No, producing director. Oh my God, this is bad. This is like when you forget your cousin's name.
It's okay. You got a lot. Got a lot.
Oh.
I've never forgotten my cousin's name though. My cousin's name's Ben. I'm
Anyway,
pretty sure.
first acting. You
What's
think
my
so?
eye color? Oh, my first acting job was probably professionally on a set was Old School. Somebody already put it up there. I saw the film
Oh,
Old School. Oh yeah, the shampoo commercial though. You were on
okay.
the shampoo commercial. Was that pre Law and Order? Herbal Essences?
No, no, it was just after it. Dr. Ruth also was on that.
Happy birthday. No, notary? No, no, notary. That I don't know your name. Notary Dietz? Happy birthday. What's my eye color? That's
Blue,
easy.
blue. Do you know mine?
Uh, yeah, like brown.
Smith,
Hazily.
Mike Smith,
Hazily.
Chris Misiano. Jesus, thank you, Mike
Christmas. Oh,
Smith.
Chris Misiano is you were talking about? He
You
directed
know,
it?
first of all, I just want to say that was senior moment. I love Chris Misiano. Chris Misiano is the greatest. It was like on the tip of my tongue. Thank you, Mike Smith. Chris Misiano directed me in my first job ever on Law and Order. When Chris Misiano came to Suits, we were like, hmm, hmm, why do we? And then we figured it out. So I got my SAG card because Chris Misiano cast me on Law and Order. Thank you, Mike Smith. I love you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike
Can you
Smith.
hear me?
Thank you. Wait. Oh, Mike Smith was the one that said Chris Misiano?
Mike Smith just texted me because he is an angel. Um,
Oh, is Mike watching? Oh my God, we got all the great people on here. Hi, Mike. What's your
Mike,
favorite episode? What's your favorite what's my favorite episode of Suits?
your the 100th episode.
Because I directed it.
I think the pilot is your favorite episode of
I
Suits.
think the pilot. Why I think that's true. What's your favorite episode of Suits? I don't know the answer to that question.
There's a certain kind of Suits episode that is my favorite kind of episode, so it makes it easy.
A funny one? What?
A flashback. I like a flashback. I like
Oh, you like to flashback. You
I like
love
to
to
flashback.
flash. You love to
No,
flash.
bangs.
You love to flash back.
I
Is Mike Smith your Siri? Yeah, he kind of is.
Mike Smith.
Um,
Mike Smith.
what's final
Fun fact.
question? What's my zodiac sign?
Yeah. Is it? Are you a Leo?
No,
What? So but
I think
you're a
you go ahead. What'd you say?
no, because I know your birthday. It's in my calendar.
You're a
Isn't it?
Sagittarius
I am. How do you know that?
because I know you really well. And, now it's awkward. You don't even know my zodiac sign. I mean, what kind of friend?
I didn't keep it awkward because as some people commented on some of our photos and they were like, "Are they a couple?" And I was like,
Wait, I haven't seen that. We got that? Oh, that's so funny.
I was like, I was like,
We
please
look good
tune into
together.
our
It's
into our
good.
Love Across the Generations
We
podcast.
love, we look, I mean, we look like a good couple, but no, we are not a couple. Think brother and sister.
Yeah,
Um,
and um, older, or younger.
well, we're already over our time allotment here. We can chat a little bit longer, Sarah. I know you have a bunch of press to go do today for our podcast, which again is called Sidebar. And we released it yesterday. It's going to be coming out every Tuesday at wherever you get podcasts. Please go check it out now if you haven't checked it out already. We are putting a lot of love, a lot of work, a lot of effort into not just us, the amazing people at Sirius. We're going all in on this thing, and we want to make it as fun as possible for us, yes, but really for you guys. So if something's working, if you want to hear more of something, if there's stuff that's not as interesting to you, please let us know. We want to make a show that you guys are interested in listening to every single week.
You're a Virgo
Yes.
because
If
you're
you'd
obviously
like to see the way my closet looks, if I just shown you a picture of my closet, you would have known
that you're
that I'm a Virgo.
a Virgo.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. Color coordinated. Do you know what I did the other day? You know what I spent? Um, I was in my daughter's room, my daughter, who's very much not a Virgo, and she's tearing everything apart. And my way of dealing with it was, let me just start organizing your bookshelf. And within 20 minutes, I had like color coordinated the books on her bookshelf. So, when a bookshelf goes from, that does the full
Bye.
rainbow, Roy G. Biv.
Yeah.
I almost did it without thinking. It was like a compulsion. All of a sudden, like, that's how I deal with that's how I deal with chaos in my house as I go
How
full
do you
Virgo.
feel when you come to my house and every cabinet is open?
Oh, your houses. You have stuff in bins. You brought out the all the when we bring the girls over, you have all your toys binned properly.
Well, that's because they're binned for your children so that I can take them out for when your kids come over because my kids don't play with them anymore and I haven't given them away yet because they still get to play with them with your children and
They still wear your clothes. We still got your clothes. My
oh
kids,
I have a whole section in my
you're
garage in the
dressing
back.
my children.
No, I have a whole rack for you. I need that.
Row is not behind the eight ball anymore. What does that mean? Oh yeah, email your questions to suitssidebar at SiriusXM.com, guys. Anything you want to say, anything you want to hear, suitssidebar at SiriusXM.com. Sorry, I
Something there was a
interrupted you, Sarah.
about Troyan. There was something about Troyan. I'm going to tell you what that question must have been. Is she as cool as she seems? Yes,
She's way
she is,
cooler than you can
and she's
possibly imagine,
not
and I don't know what she's
trying to be.
doing with me.
She's amazing.
The best. Santu also the best. Who I just found out internet stalking you. I didn't know that Santu's name was not actually Santu.
No,
Is that
no,
true?
it's Santu Santu.
Isn't it Alexand? There was something about
Alex
Alex Sant.
Sansari Ole Pekka.
There we go.
Try putting that
Um,
like wedding invitation. I think they had to. They charged us more, especially for the dots.
I'm going through the questions here. We only have a few more minutes before you've got to
Something about
run.
Toronto went by.
Did you keep the bike? There's got to be a story with the bike. I did not keep the bike because I had a bike I already loved in Toronto, but oh, we put in the wrong email. It's sidebar podcast at SiriusXM.com. Everybody, sidebar. Uh-oh, I lost it. Sidebar podcast? Is that what I just said? Senior moment.
I,
Keep
I'm so sad about my senior moment
sidebar
because it.
podcast at SiriusXM.com.
I just have to finish my sentence about my senior moment, but
Sorry.
I'm always working on my brain health. This is legit. Like I'm asked a question about about cortisol with you, and I am always thinking about brain health because of my dad and all that stuff. So losing Chris Misiano's name for a second is like so. It's a very vulnerable moment. This is why I shouldn't do live things.
Well, I think it's fine. There's a lot of people involved with suits. That's sort of a part, actually, to, if I'll offer up here, that's kind of why we're doing this, is because when you're doing the thing, it happens so
But what was
fast and so
the
furious, and
guy?
people are coming and going into the show, and people who totally affected our lives in incredible ways. We don't actually get the chance to really sit and go, "Oh my God, how amazing it was that we had this incredible talent on our set." So it's
But who
okay.
was the guy that you were next to in the posters?
That his name was uh Gallivant Micht. Of course, that's Gabriel Macht, the one and only, who hopefully will get on the show very soon.
Um,
Because I'd love to hear his process.
I would love you to come over here and help me with my closet. This is a big takeaway from this Instagram live. Like I actually
Next
think
time, on a very special Instagram Live, we will organize your closet
no, I
next
just
time.
love how well we get along being a Virgo and a Sagittarius because like I don't have any of the gifts of a Virgo. Like I'm exactly the. That's why we're a chaotic duo.
Duo. What struggles? This is one good last question because it does get to the fact that we want to talk about the things that were not also just wonderful, but that might have been difficult. What struggles did you face when you were filming the show? Um, being away from Troyan was really hard. Just being away from life, being away was the first time in my life. Uh, you're full on. You're months away. You don't see your friends, you don't see your family. So I think that was the number one big transition of just like being so immersed in this thing that you kind of lose touch with people that are really important to you for a little while.
I think the hours were really hard.
Hmm.
Um, the look, and we'll talk all about it, like the self doubt, the vulnerability of feeling exposed. I think the moment before something comes out, like we were talking about, I literally have nightmares. Like before something's gonna premiere or whatever. I think that's hard. It's hard. It just feels weirdly vulnerable. Like it feels like it goes against
Hmm.
stuff, stuff.
Hmm.
That's why it's easier, I think, when you're playing a character because it's not actually you. But when
Hmm.
you're doing yourself, that can be where you're being authentic. That can be hard. Like it can be hard.
Yep. Shout out to whoever's listening to this in class. Rosabel Sermano, thank you, but pay attention. It's important. You got to pay attention to the teacher. So anyway, I think we got to go anyway. You got to go do press, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us here. You stuck it out, watching us try and figure out how a live works. I'm sure we'll do more of these as we go. But we're so excited again to have, finally have this thing in the world. We've been working really hard on it, and as we've told you today, it's fun and scary and exciting to have it finally be out there. So thank you for watching. Please keep listening to the podcast week to week, and we are excited to build this thing with you as we go.
Thank you. Thank
And
you, everybody.
and I,
Thank you.
and I
Thank you
love
for
you, my
living in
friend.
my world. I love you, Patrick. Good luck there on your show.
All right,
I'm
you too. I'll
about
talk
it.
to you
Thank
soon. Good luck today.
you.
All right,
Bye, everybody. Thank
bye.
you. Thank you. I don't know how to